Hello, it's Christine from Hollow Sands Create. It's Wednesday, July 1st. Welcome to my channel about cross stitch. This is episode 13. Welcome, and I hope everybody has been very well over the last month or so. It's I think June 3rd was my last video. Sorry about the delay. Life has been a little bit crazy busy, and you know, just a lot going on. So today I'm just gonna drop in, do some showing of some, let's see, some kindness, what I've got out now, summer and patriotic decorating, and some finishes and some whips and things like that. So if you want to hang with me for a little while, feel free to do so. Thank you so much. And here we go. First, I want to talk about kindness. There's been a trend, which has been pleasant to see, about sharing kindness and being kind. And I think I very wholeheartedly believe in that. And I think that the way through some of the things that we're dealing with is through kindness. Messages of change are hard, and delivery of those hard messages can be so much more effective with kind words. A saying that I used to hear all the time from my elders when I was a kid growing up was, you get more flies with honey than vinegar, and I truly believe that. So I want to sprinkle some kindness throughout this Flosstube. Maybe pass on a message of kindness that everybody will take throughout their day, and pass it forward. So a couple of things I wanna show right off the bat is some kindness that I received. We all talk about stitchy kindness and things like that. I've got a couple of things that aren't necessarily stitchy related, but they're from friends that I've made because of stitching. And one of my really good friends, Lisa, made me this bag. Isn't that adorable? Has these little pockets. Isn't that the sweetest? Little drawstring bag, little ruler, twill tape. And then just the sweetest, handmade with love. God is love. And I just love this. Every time I look over at it, I just am reminded of you know, a very sweet person and the thoughtfulness that she shared, and I really appreciate that. The second thing was I had a stitcher who very kindly sent me a Starbucks gift card. It's not necessary to send anything if you want a giveaway or, you know, anything like that. But just the thought that she took a little bit of time out of her day to purchase this for me and send it over. Again, it's, you know, sprinkled with kindness, right? So anyway, so those are just a couple of things that I wanted to share. So we'll move on to what's out now. It's summertime decorating, it's patriotic decorating. Today's July 1st. July 1st in our family also means that it's my middle daughter, Savannah. It's her birthday. So she lives in Seattle. So unfortunately, we had plans to be in Seattle, or we were hoping to be in Seattle with her this week, and she's off for the week, but because of the flights and things that are going on, and I live in Texas, and now other states are kind of, you know, if you're from Texas, because right now a spiking of COVID is through the roof. The numbers here are in Texas. So anyway, happy birthday to my sweet Savannah. We all call her Sanny, and I hope she has a fantastic day. So let's go on to the decorating. So I've got my summer things in place, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually insert some pictures of the little vignettes that I kind of create with some decor like longer burger baskets and things like that, as well as the stitchy pieces that I have with it. So I'm just gonna insert those. So I do have a few things that were kind of easier. This is one of my favorites that I stitched. This is Summer Stack from Waxing Moon Designs. And I really love this, and it's got the cutest buttons. There's like the dragonfly and the little strawberries, and that's a clamshell and a starfish. Anyway, so I stitched this quite some time ago, but it comes out and hangs up every year. And then I think you can probably see Lizzie Kate's Summer from Summer Smalls. It's back here. I stitched that, and then I had that like kind of board easel from Michael's, and I applied some gingham to the back of it, and then a piece of Velcro, and then I just pop it on and off of that easel, and so it sits there and announces summer. So it's really cute. I really like that. And then let's see, what else is hanging? I've got this wreath that I really like with the Country Cottage Needleworks Red, White, and Bloom stitched design that I stitched and then just inserted right into the middle of the wreath and added some doodad here, some berries and a little bit of flowers. And I found this wreath. It's like a burlap wreath last year, I think at Walmart. And I want to say, it was not very expensive at all. They had a few more bows and things on it, which I kind of pulled off because otherwise it would have covered up, the design. So really like that, had that hanging up. Get so much stuff around you. Okay, and then next I stitched Little House Needleworks Old Glory, and put it on sticky board, and then applied that to a board that I covered with some fabric. It's like a navy blue with some little stars on it. So I attached all of that and then put the whole thing onto this picture easel frame. What do they call this thing? I'm not sure what they call it. Like a clipboard type deal, but I believe I got this at Michael's. So that's really cute. And then my probably all-time favorite thing that I've stitched in Patriotic is this. This is out of a Stony Creek Designs book, and I don't remember the name of it. This took me a while to do, but I absolutely love it. And my husband's funny because it sits on a big easel on the edge of our fireplace on the hearth, and his chair is kind of catty corner across from that, and he says, I think that eagle stares at me, which I think is funny. But I know we all don't really care to backstitch, or at least a lot of us don't. But once you backstitched those eyes, this piece took on a whole nother life. But I really, really love this. And I just framed that myself. So, and then I have an elongated dough bowl. And so just to put some things in it, I stitched America. Just finished it into a little pillow. So I have that in there. This I have in there, which was like just an adorable little strawberry. But this was an exchange gift through my guild, the Tudor Rose Stitching Guild in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Isn't that sweet? And when I got my dough bowl out this year, because I just bought it within this last year, so I didn't have it last year at July, I had a couple other little things that I just had purchased and picked up. They're little pillows and things that are in that dough bowl that are not stitched or not cross-stitched, so I don't have those out here I'm showing you. But when I got those in, because it's a long rectangular bowl, I thought, well, that's really kind of sad. It's kind of empty. So I quick went into my stash and I pulled out, so I'm kind of jumping into FFOs, pulled out Brenda Gervais with the Needle and Threads, Land of Liberty. And this only took me about 4 days to do. I started it like on a Tuesday evening and finished it and FFO'd it on Saturday morning. So it didn't take super long. Just put some Lady Dot Creates. This is vintage chenille on the edging. And I just think he turned out so cute. I really loved Uncle Sam. Now I did make one change in the red that I used. I used Buckeye Scarlett, and I think she called for Cayenne, which gave it a little more of a rusty type look to it. And then instead of tarnished gold, which when I was looking for my tarnished gold, which is Gentle Arts, it is in another design, which I'm currently stitching, and so I didn't want to rob Peter to pay Paul, so I just switched this out to burlap, which I think is really pretty, and it actually has a little more gold to it, so I think it looks really nice. So that's in my bowl now as well. So that actually was a start, a finish, and an FFO, so which is always kind of nice to show. So, and since I'm into the FFOs, let's talk about some FFOs that I did. This is, I stitched this last year. This was a Dying to Stitch kit from the Kindred Spirits Club from last year from Plum Street Samplers, Paulette, Summertide Blessings. And so I stitched it last year, but I just FFO'd it a couple of weeks ago. And I think I showed it on my Instagram. So, and this is actually not fabric. This is some burlap ribbon, like on a spool that I purchased. And so I just cut off lengths of it, put it on a board just along the edging, and then mounted my stitched piece on some sticky board and then on top of the burlap edging. And the reason I like that is because these little dots are black. And of course you got the black crow and then the sawtooth design edging that's in black. So I thought, well, that looks pretty good. And then I just had this board. This is actually just on here with a magnet. So that worked out really well, and then it just hangs. So it's kind of a summertime patriotic, type deal. Loved stitching those tomatoes. And fun fact, that actually is releasing this and will be in shops very soon. I think Paulette is shipping to shops this week. And you probably have already seen maybe some people put it out for, pre-order, but it'll be in pretty quickly here. So that's kind of cool. And then my last FFO that I finished, and I believe I showed my finish on this, and if I don't, I showed you progress, but I think I showed a finish on June 3rd, and I finally got around to getting it FFO'd, and this was from the Sweet Land of Liberty book from Blackbird Designs, and this is American Eagle. And I actually had this, see the hanger? This was just a board that I found in a flea market, and it was like maybe $5, something like that. And I had picked it up because I thought, well, that is really cool, and somehow I'm going to figure out how to display it. And I didn't know if I wanted a piece like this or, a piece like this. But then I got to looking and I realized that the hanger that's carved out of the wood has to be like this. So I was like, okay. So I mounted this on some sticky board, And then I put it up, and then I was like, you know, it didn't look finished or something. So I took it back down, and I went into my ribbon drawer or embellishments drawer, and I found some of this like burlap trim. It's like a weave, it's got a weave, you can see the weave. And I put that around, and then that quite didn't look right. So I went and I dug out some paints that I had that actually were from my daughter. She was really big into painting birdhouses. And I didn't want a bright red because this is like a rusty colored and the pinky kind of color in here. So I diluted this red really thin, and then just lightly brushed it onto the trim. And I really like it. It worked. I just think it worked out really well. So this was a bit of a, you know, kind of in progress. Sometimes you have to think about things, right? How you're gonna finish them or what speaks to you. So anyway, so now that's hanging as well. And I really love that one too. Of course we love them. We say we really love them. Well, we would, or we wouldn't have them probably. I'd probably give it away if I didn't love it. Okay, so that takes care of my finish and my FFOs. Next thing I wanted to share with you, let's move on to whips. Okay, so as you know, I've talked about each Flosstube for the last several episodes. I am co-hosting the Berry Bowl Sal, which is the Berry Bowl Sampler, collaboration between Tanya from the Scarlett House and Beth Twist from Heartstring Samplery. And since I've shown last, I think I've gotten a few more done. I should put this up on something, I'm sorry. Anyway, so here's my progress. Aren't those nice? Really like these. So that's my progress on that. And I just work on the berry bowls on Mondays. So that's my Monday project. Sorry, I have to kind of put these back away or I have a bigger mess than I already have out here now. Then I have Where Liberty Dwells, and I'm doing this one with my needle and thread. And since I showed this one to you last, I have gotten more of the star done. I haven't worked on this a tremendous amount, so I need to get back to this. Otherwise it's going to be next year, which it may be next year anyway, but I need to get back to that regardless. And then I'm still working on my Jenny Bean Friendship Sampler from Shakespeare's Peddler. I'm getting closer, getting closer. My needle is in this one, I'm sorry. I was working on this late last night. I do a stitchy Zoom meetup on Tuesday nights, and here's my progress. Now, since I showed this one to you last, I have finished all of this, and I finished this house. Started the words here. Now I do still have to put in some stuff around the windows here. So it's supposed to make it look like stones here. And then you can kind of see, sorry to shake you, that I have done some of the parchment fill-in in the banner and in the words. So I'm getting there on this one. You know, I should have known better than to save all that fill-in towards the end, because then you lose steam, because it's not so fun to do. But I'll get it finished. And then what I've really been excited about and what I've been working on, I think when I showed you this one last, a new Constellation from Plum Street Samplers. This is the new release this year from Paulette about Betsy Ross. And I think when I showed you this last, because I started this on Memorial Day, I had just done the urn up to like these first few flowers. So I finished that banding, and then this past weekend, I made it my goal to get that flag done. And y'all, don't you just love that flag? I really like this. So I'm cruising on this one. This one is my focus piece for Fridays and Saturdays. And this last weekend, because I was determined to get that flag done, I ditched working on Where Liberty Dwells and finished the flag on Sunday. So there's that one. And then I'm sure a lot of you have seen that Jules from Long Dog Samplers released a freebie that she put out for, I think it was for a week that you could download, and called Pandemic, which of course was, you know, very appropriate, right, for the time that we're in right now. And so I did download it. I'll show it to you real quick. And there you go. Pandemic. And I put these, when you're working on these big projects like this that have multiple pages, I put them into just a binder, just a quick binder with little, you know, loose leaf protector pages in it, and that works really well. So when I downloaded that, and then I was pulling fabric and threads, and I pulled a couple of different combinations. And I pulled it's called Silver Moon, so it's a really pretty pale gray with a couple of different threads for that. And then I pulled out a cream with Current, Gentle Arts Current. Let's see. You can see this a little better if I have it up against there. There we go. Which is really pretty. And so when I was digging around, I thought, you know, I could not decide between these two combinations. And I was looking at, the thread I was looking at was the Witching Hour, which is the new Gentle Arts, one of the new threads that came out at market this year, which is like a really deep purpley black, which on that real pale gray is gonna look really beautiful. But I didn't want to ditch the idea of using this Current as well, also because I really love it. So I went back in and was looking on Jules' site and saw this one, Paradigm Found. And I really love this. And it says, you know, it's got inserted in here, faith, hope, charity. And it just spoke to me. And so I thought, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do two, which, ooh, okay, there's like 5 years worth of work, right? So I went in, and the piece that I had pulled in cream that I had the Current on was like a 32 count. And I didn't want to do 32 count. I want to do something higher because I just want to use one thread. And so I was digging in my fabric stash, and I found I had a fat half, which I probably have shown in this last few times that I've been doing my fabric haul, and of this Lakeside Linens pecan butter. And I thought, you know what? I bet this Current is gonna look really pretty on this. And so I pulled it out, and I spent one Sunday afternoon for about an hour or so stitching this corner. Because I thought, all right, I'm gonna stitch this corner enough to get the variegation in there. Hopefully you can kind of see that. And see if I'm gonna like it on this fabric. Because the fabric, I think, is really important with this particular design, because there's enough space between the motifs and things like that. You're gonna see that fabric. And I love it. So now I ended up with a new start. Long Dog Samplers, Paradigm Found. Absolutely love this. So I think it's gonna come into being a focus piece as soon as I finish, okay. my little cat has decided she's going to join us, and she's moving the whole setup. Sadie, go on. So as soon as I finish Friendship Sampler, which should be pretty quickly, that one I think is going to come into being a focus piece as well. So anyway, there's my new starts and my whip, and I'm kind of having to move things because she's like now interested in what all I have up here. And she has actually dug my little strawberry out of my bowl a couple of times and run with it. Like she'll get it in her paws into her mouth, get a hold, and then run with it. I've had to chase her down a couple of times around the house to get a hold of this. So she's a little bit of a stinker. So she's still kitten. She won't be a year until September, so she's still playful, and you don't want to take that out of them. So that's what makes them fun. Okay, so moving on to haul. I'm trying to make this fairly quick video, even though I have, a decent amount of content to show you since I haven't been here in a little while. But I don't want to keep you going here forever either. So I'm still on my fabric kick, people. Lakeside Linens from Acorns and Threads. Love that shop. 40 count vintage maple sugar. Look at that. Isn't that color gorgeous? Love it. So got a fat half of that. And then I tried a new fabric dyer, and it's Seraphim, however she says that, Fabrics. And I ordered several pieces from her. This one is called Stone Wash. Isn't that pretty? So I got that one. And this one is Antique Lace. I really like that one. And then probably my favorite that I had received from her is this one called Thesby. And it's a little more, open that up, not a ton of modeling in it, but it's a little more tan, whereas Antique Lace is a little more gray in the overtones. So that's the fabric that I got this time. And I have ordered a couple of more project bags made by Mama Joan. Got one of her out of print Blackbird fabrics. Isn't that really nice? Really like this. So I think that's really pretty. I just got that in. And then my gal Nikki from NikkisNotables got another one of her tall bags. Absolutely love this. And I've already put in, I had this whip just in another like plastic bag. And so of course it was crying out for its own project bag. And she put this up on her shop, and actually she put another one up yesterday that I absolutely loved, and I told her, I said, you're killing me, so I immediately ordered it. So I've got another one in the mail on the way. So love those. And then I have a couple of Bitsy Bobs, which I've shown on previous episodes. And I don't know if everybody knows this, but Kelly will do customs if you have some fabric that you want. And I had gone to an unfortunate closing of a quilt shop several months ago, and picked up some fabrics and things that they had. Of course, the whole shop was closing, so they were liquidating everything. But I really liked this bee fabric, and I had picked up coordinating fat quarters of the gray. But I just didn't know exactly what I was going to do with it, and I had also gotten some fat quarters of the cream with the bees on it. But unfortunately, whatever I was going to do had to be small, because the only yardage they had was available in the yellow. So I think I showed you on my last episode that I had gotten her sampler stitcher large Bitsy Bob. And when I was looking at her site or her shop, which is, you know, That's So Calico on Etsy, I saw her, you know, her charge for the custom, and I was like, well, that's not bad at all. And I thought, you know what, that's what I'm gonna do. So I sent this to her, and this is what she designed and made for me. And then she includes the little dry erase chart start thread keep, which is just so handy. And so now I have, I think, 2 regular size and 2 Bitsy Bob biggies. And I really love these. They're perfect for traveling, and that's what I use them for, to pop your charts and things into a little quick design. These I can actually put into my handbag, so I don't have to, I can carry them through the airport or in the car, and it's so handy. And you've got that little zipper pouch, which is nice. You throw your scissors and things in, so nothing's sliding out of the middle. Anyway, love this. So that was my last thing that I had received in haul. So, my bank account's not too broke this time around. Okay, and now on to winners from my last giveaways. I had 3 items. Stony Creek's Timeless Wisdom. Really love this. Let's see, especially this one. When you are kind, let's see, I'm reading it on the back too. When you are kind, it not only changes you, it changes the world. Love, love, love that sentiment. Kindness, again, people, it's changing. It's life-changing, it's world-changing, kindness. So that was the first one. Then from the Blue Flower, Harvest Hymn. And if you haven't watched Janine McGowan, who's the designer from the Blue Flower, she now has 2 episodes of Flosstube out, and go watch her. Love it. She talked about her process, which was really cool, in her second video, I think it was. And it's just interesting to hear her talk about how she jots ideas down and things like that. But go give her some love. And then the third one, The Color of Winter, again from the Blue Flower. And look at that border. Isn't that beautiful? The colors are so pretty, and these stars down here, love them. So without further ado, The Color of Winter goes to Moosecraft USA. Yeah, Moosecraft USA. Harvest Hymn goes to Novella McCracken. Novella McCracken. And Timeless Wisdom goes to Angela West. So, ladies, thank you so much for participating in the giveaway. I'm going to comment on your comment on this video, and if you will message me, I'll have my email also in the description box. So if you will message me with your shipping address, I will get these out to you ASAP. And again, thank you so much for participating. As everyone knows, these charts are courtesy of Some Kindness from my friend Linda, who doesn't live super far from me. We kind of have become friends because of stitching. Because she doesn't live far, I didn't want her to have to pay shipping on her orders, and so we started meeting, and I would deliver her order, and we would have lunch, and so we just become friends. She's just such a sweetheart, and she sent a whole box. I think I asked that information on of charts and duplicates and things that she knew she wasn't going to stitch, and said, keep what you want, pass on what you want, things like that. So again, some stitchy kindness, that I'm sharing. So really happy with that. The last thing I'm going to go through is the giveaway for this time. Now this time I'm only going to have one. Again, this is courtesy of Linda. And what I'm going to do is show you, this is Scary Apothecary's Bitter Brew, Bat Balm, and Broomstick Fuel. So you'll get all 3 of these. but you're also gonna get something else. I'm going to add to these charts with some other items, but I'm not gonna tell you exactly what I'm gonna add. I know what I'm adding, but it's gonna be a surprise. So if you'd like to participate in this, make sure you're 18. Please don't say giveaway or free. We wanna make sure that, you know, that this gets to a stitcher who really wants to stitch it. So yeah, that'll be fun. So what I want you to do is, if you could tell me what you like to stitch on with regards to your frame, hoop, in hand. So how do you like to hold your fabric or have it held for you? Is it a wooden hoop? Is it a Q-snap? You know, whatever. I just think that's interesting to see how people, I started stitching back in the 80s and, you know, had hoops. That's kind of what we used. But the generation of things, you know, the frames, the roller frames, all the different kinds of frames, the lighting, it's just crazy how many things are out there. I still tend to, I have a hoop with the sit-on lap piece for when I have a bigger piece that maybe I need to focus specifically on something, but I don't pull it tight. I leave it somewhat slack because I also stitch in hand, and so I have one hand underneath and I'm going to town with the top hand because I leave it slack in the hoop. So that's what I do a lot of the time. Sometimes, depending on the piece, it's just straight in hand. So it just kind of depends on what the piece demands. And I just always think it's very interesting if you go to a retreat or you watch Flosstube or something to see what people do, and you can learn from that. So if you're interested in the Scary Apothecary set of the bees, and what else I'm going to be adding to this, just answer that question. And I believe that's it. I'm looking at my list and I think I'm all done. I hope everyone is doing really well. You know, we've had some kind of nutsy things, you know, going on here. I haven't watched a tremendous amount of Flosstube. I've been pretty busy in the shop still. And I've actually gotten into podcasts. And so I've been listening to a lot of podcasts. I've got some that I would highly recommend if you're interested, or maybe you've already listened to them. One of them is John Meacham's Hope Through History. And I think he only has 5 or 6 podcasts in this, or episodes in the particular season, but it's just really good and very timely for today. And if you love history, his references are, you know, so good. The way that, and appropriate, the way that he talks about things in our past that have happened, like for instance the Depression, the Great Depression, or the flu epidemic of 1917 and 18, you know, things like that, and then relates them so appropriately now, but he does it without necessarily making political statements and things like that. It's just really good information. So I've really been listening to podcasts and things like that while I'm working in, you know, and doing my shop stuff. We did have skunks in the yard. We had a mama who had her babies. So that was kind of crazy interesting. Unfortunately, when we were looking, we had a wildlife relocation person come, and when we were trying to find Mama, we'd seen her the evening before, and she had actually sprayed, so that was lovely. And then the next morning, we'd had a horrible storm overnight, and the next morning, 2 babies were on the side lawn. And I actually might insert the picture so that you can see the babies. And they were out there crying for Mama. And so when the gentleman arrived, we searched everywhere around the property. And unfortunately, as the last place he was looking was behind, we have a hedgerow that's up against the house, in the front of the house, and the babies were in the back. And he got in behind there, and he looks over at me and he said, "I have a dead skunk." And unfortunately, and you could knew it was Mama because she was lactating. And the babies, we think, were only about a week old. And unfortunately, she was passed away. no blood, nothing, but she didn't look real healthy, which makes us wonder maybe she had eaten some kind of poison or something like that, but she definitely didn't look great. So he took babies and left a trap just in case, because typically he said they have about 4 to 6 babies, and we only found 2, so we're not sure what happened there. Or they could have still been down in the burrow, and they might have drowned with the storm, because it was a pretty bad storm. It's not sure, so that's been kind of crazy, but you know, that's life too, right? Circle of life kind of thing. So I hope that your time is without skunks. Somebody commented, I posted a picture on my Instagram, and they said, ooh, stinky cat. It's kind of funny, but anyway, I hope that things are, you know, going well for you and yours and your family. And if you're traveling, be safe. Enjoy your 4th of July holiday that's coming up. Be kind, and remember, create every day. Thank you so much. Take care.